Hello everybody, welcome back to Throttle Grotto and the Cappuccino project. Today I'm going to show you how the welding went. Professional welders should turn back now. Stay tuned. Alright everyone, I have been actually really hard at work on this project, and believe it or not, I'm happy with how it turned out. All things considered. This car probably should have went to the scrapyard and stayed there, but it was just a little too nice to save. I got lucky on finding a parts car that had most everything I needed to get this one back together, and I've spent probably a solid 10 hours getting the front of this car straightened back out. So let's take a look at my handiwork, shall we? As I said before, if you're a professional welder, you may start crying anytime now, throwing things at your computer or throwing your phone across the room. I understand all that completely. But I'm an amateur. I do this stuff at home. I'm not the smartest guy in the planet. I don't do this for a living. Let's look at the good stuff first. So one of the good things is this bar here that I had shown you guys earlier. It actually lines up with all the bolt holes, which is actually really good. I can put the 2 bolts in there. Come over to this side. I can most definitely put the 2 bolts in there. So that is a positive. And it actually, I kind of wiggle it around a little bit. You can see it kind of lines up with the goop that it used to have in the other car. So yeah, so that's a positive. Another positive is holes in the fenders line up. I don't have the passenger side fender on here right now, but they all lined up. Everything's where it should be. The negatives. The negatives are, which there's actually a positive to it. So because I didn't do an amazing job welding, and I was a little nervous about the strength, I got some 1/8 inch plate. And I told you guys I was going to plate the frame rails. So I plated this all the way around. And I did the same thing on the passenger side there. So the frame rails are going to be strong. There's no question in my mind that these frame rails are actually going to hold up to a 1,500-pound car. And if something unfortunate happens where the car gets hit again in the nose, that part will not be a problem. Everything around it will be a problem, but that part there won't be a problem. All this over here is welded in now. The aprons are all welded in. And yes, some of this stuff looks like I stuck boogers on it and attached them with gum. But that's what we're doing today. Today is grind all my crappy welds down and get some seam sealer on here so it can dry overnight. All right, so it is actually pretty cold out here in the garage tonight. I need to do like a big time cleanup on this. I need to like open the doors. I need to blow all the dirt and stuff out of here. And I'm not going to do that tonight. I just want to go inside and chill after a long day at work, and then coming out here and doing this for an hour or two. So tomorrow, back to it. And hopefully we get seam sealer on this tomorrow. I've got a little bit more prep work to do on some of the stuff here that I didn't do as good of a job grinding down. As you can see here, we've got a bunch of stuff there smoothed out. Can't go too hard on this stuff because it's really thin, and I'd rather pack up some seam sealer on it and have a visible seam than have a hole in it. All right, everyone. I cheated. I did things off camera again like a terrible YouTuber, like the worst YouTuber on the planet, which we all know I am. But here we are. Ground everything down, put some seam sealer on it. Got it on the outside too. Pretty hard to see back here because I'm not thin enough to fit between the garage door and the car. And I got both sides. So the seam sealer says it takes 10 minutes to dry. That was a lie, but it's also like 45 degrees in the garage today. So I'm just going to let all this stuff set up overnight, and then we'll scuff everything that's black, scuff this stuff back a bit, just so we can put some epoxy sealer and a little bit of color in here, and then we can bolt the rest of the parts back on the car. So that is, aside from the obvious paint work that still needs to be done, that is a completed repair. So I know this isn't pro quality, and I kind of apologize for that, because you guys come here to YouTube to see us guys at home doing pro quality stuff in our garages, and I kind of let you down on that. This definitely is not a pro level repair with like no Bondo, no nothing. All right, I know you guys come to YouTube to see pro builds at home. I'm not going to come out and say this is a pro build, but I did the best I could with the stuff I had to work with. I didn't have any way to mechanically push some of these repairs out. I just had to cut them out and work on them that way. Overall, I think the car is going to be safe to drive. If I do have an incident with it, it's not going to be harmful to me or any passenger I have in the car, which is good. And as you'll see in later episodes, as we're putting the rest of the car back together, everything lines up. I don't have 100% proof of that because I've not tried to put a front bumper on here, but the fenders line up, core support lined up, which hopefully means the front bumper lines up, provided that the previous damage didn't affect how the bumper lines up. So next time it'll be epoxy and color, and we'll complete the front of this and then put the rest of the panels on, just so we can kind of see how everything lines up. I do have one headlight that we can use for a reference, so we should be able to see how everything lines up and possibly take this car for a quick drive. I won't promise a quick drive, but I will promise that I'm going to get this car back together as quick as I can, because I want to get it on the ground so that I can get back to work on the 928 and the Datsun, both of which need work. So that is all for this episode of Throttle Grotto. Until next time, get out there and work on something.